Welcome back, everyone. So today I've got a special video for you guys. I'm working on this project called What If, and this is kind of a fan crafting video where I'm gonna take characters from my favorite series and video games, characters I'd love to see in Universus, and I'm gonna design kits for them. So back before the Attack on Titan days, each character had one character and then four, I believe it was 4 attacks and 4 non-attacks, and that's how their cards would be distributed. They'd have kits. So what I'm doing is I'm going through some of my favorite properties and I'm creating character kits for some of my favorite characters or characters I would just love to see in general. And I thought I would start with with a character that I created for the Nick Reagan design contest, and that's a character from one of my favorite anime, Shaman King. So I hope you guys will bear with me on this and as I feel this out, because this is going to be the first of hopefully many what if scenarios. Honestly, I'd love to do maybe one a month, and that'd be kind of cool, but we'll see. These kind of take a long time to make, so we'll see how often I get that. So first of all, why Shaman King? Shaman King has a lot of really cool and colorful characters, each with their own unique abilities, which could be said for a lot of different like shonen anime and such. But I think this would be a perfect set. A Shaman King set would be perfect for backups, because each main character has the character and then their guardian ghost or their spirit partner. I think that spirit partner could be treated as a backup, and we could do a lot with that, similar to Attack on Titan, how they utilize backups. We could utilize them in a different way. And of course, why did I pick Shaman King? It's a personal favorite of mine. I'm so glad Netflix remade the show so that you have the full series as it was in the manga. And I think that this would be a perfect fit for Universus. So this is kind of why I wanted to start here. So how I'm doing this for the Shaman King related ones, as I said, every character has 4 attacks and 4 non-attacks. All of my characters that I do for all of these are going to be 3 symbol characters, mainly because that's just the easiest thing for me to figure out and I don't have to worry about attunement. Every character is going to have a backup, which will be their guardian ghost, a 4 attack suite, and then 3 foundations. And I had designed these as cards, like I actually mocked up how they would look as cards, but each card took about an hour and every slide of this took about 45 minutes, so I kind of saved myself 20 minutes with all of these. So without further ado, let's talk about my favorite Shaman King character, Faust VIII, or as I call him, Faust VIII, Forlorn Necromancer. Now my boy Faust would be a 6 hand size, 29 health character, which is a little low for 6-handers in our game right now, but hear me out. He's got the good, death, and life symbols, and I just realized now that I need to proofread these because it should be death, good, life instead of good, life, good, death, life. I think I made a mistake when I initially created the card, and yeah, oh well. He's good, death, and life. So he's got 3 abilities, the first of which is a static that says, before the game begins, search your deck for 1 copy of Eliza Faust and build it. So he acts kind of like Hanji 1, where you can get a backup out of your deck immediately and start with it in play. And I think this would be a static for all of the shamans in a Shaman King set, that they would each be able to start the game with their respective guardian, because that's kind of the point of the series. They're always together, they fight symbiotically, so I think having them all have a static that lets them start with their spirit partner as a backup in play is a no-brainer. We also have Enhance, discard 2 cards. You may attempt to play 1 ally attack from your discard pile as your next form. So Faust is a necromancer, so he uses his spirit energy. I forget if it's called Furioku outside of the 4Kids dub. It's been a very long time since I've seen the Netflix series, so I am pulling a little bit from a fuzzy memory. But he uses his energy to imbue skeletons and corpses with power so he can control them, kind of like a puppet master. The main one being the skeleton you see hanging from his arm, who is his beloved Eliza. So I thought having a character that could play attacks from the discard pile, and of course he's using cards from his hand, he's using his resources, his energy, to play those cards out of the discard pile. And I thought that was a really cool way to express necromancy in our game. And then we have a response: after your attack deals damage, gain 1 health. Faust is a doctor. He's actually, after he is a foe to the main character, he does end up joining them in the second half of the Shaman King tournament, and he kind of becomes the team doctor. So I figured having a way to regain some health would be kind of a cool way to show off his medical knowledge. He's healed himself several times over the show, I believe, including one time where he fell out of a plane and had just pumped himself so full of morphine he didn't die, and he just stitched himself back together. So my dude Faust is insane. So I think a 6 hand size, 29 health, using your resources to call up your attacks from the discard pile, I think that's a really neat way to show off this character's abilities. Excuse me while I get a drink of water. And I'm not showing myself on camera for these ones because my camera takes away from the slides, it blocks things. I just want to make sure you guys can see everything. So, of course, Faust needs his guardian, and that would be Eliza Faust, and she would be his backup. And I designed her as a 3 difficulty, 6 control backup with unique and ally as her keywords. I believe all of these allies should be, or all of these backups should be unique. And ally, obviously, they're helping their shaman. I also made her with no block modifier. I honestly can't remember why I didn't do that, but yeah, she's more of an offensive threat, not really a defensive one. And I believe all of this, since there is only 1 copy of their spirit, they should all have unique, they should have ally, makes sense. And she has a Faust VIII first form, so you can only use this first form ability at the start of your turn after you've drawn up to your printed hand size, and only if the character you're playing is Faust VIII. And this is a first form that activates in the discard pile. You lose 2 health to build this card. So she is taking from Faust's resource, his health. He is bringing her back from the grave, just like his necromancy, bringing her back to his side. And then response, commit after your rival plays an attack. That attack now targets this card. So Eliza taking a hit for Faust. Unlike a lot of other shamans who imbue their spirit into a weapon, Eliza fights on her own. She's one of the types of partner ghosts that doesn't fuse with her partner or fuse into a weapon. She kind of fights alongside him, and he kind of puppeteers from the back. So having her tank a hit for him, one, it shows like the love that between Eliza and Faust, which I just absolutely adore, but it kind of makes sense as to how she would be used as a spirit. She's defensive, she always comes back, and she kind of helps her man out in a pinch. Now, our first attack is going to be Bone Dead Reborn. I did not give these rarities because I'm not a good enough designer to decide what cards should be what rarities based on strength. But if I had to guess, I would say this would probably be a common or an uncommon. And Bone Dead Reborn is the attack that Faust uses in his first combat with Yo, where he summons just a whole bunch of skeletons up that Yo had knocked down and completely reforms his assault. This is a 3 difficulty, 3 control attack with plus 3 mid-block modifier. And all of these cards are going to have the same 3 symbols as Faust. They will all be death, good, and life. So just keep that in mind. And that's another reason I don't want to worry about attuned, because just saying that they all have the same symbols means I have to put less on the slides. It's got 2 damage, and it's a 2-speed mid-attack. It's got ally and charges its keywords, and as a static, you may include up to 8 copies of this card in your deck. So being able to discard 2 cards from your hand to play one of these 3 diffs is really cool. It's a really good way to end a string. And as you can see on the Faust card, that enhance is not a once per turn. So you can keep giving up as many times as you have cards in your hand in order to play cards from your discard pile. And as an enhance, we get mill X. That is our cost. We have to discard the top X cards of our deck. This attack gets plus X speed and plus X damage. X equals the number of copies of Bone Dead Reborn in your card pool. So if you have 1 copy of Bone Dead Reborn, you mill 1 to get 1 speed and 1 damage. If you have 2, you mill 2 to get 2 speed and 2 damage. So not only are you swarming with attacks, like as this one attack, it's multiple skeletons at once, you're also filling your discard pile for Faust's future abilities to play cards out of the discard pile. So you're fueling your discard pile, filling your grave, and then getting more and more skeletons per attack, as it were, to really pack a punch, especially on something that's so small like a 3 difficulty. So it kind of makes sense. And having multiple copies in your deck, 8 copies in your deck, you can just constantly play as many as you can. So maybe play 1, play a second one, discard 2 cards from your hand, play a third from the discard pile, and you're mill 1, mill 2, mill 3, until you're just overwhelming your rival, much like it looks like Yo is about to be overwhelmed here from the Bone Dead Reborn. Water break. Next up, we have 14-ton Calcium Giant. This is where Faust kind of gets really mad because Yo calls Eliza a mindless puppet. So he summons all of the skeletons together and fuses them with his power to create one giant skeleton monster. And this is an 8 difficulty, 3 control with a 1 low block. I wanted to give him a nice block. It's got 4 high for 9, so 4 speed in the high zone, 9 damage, big attack. It's got stun 1, ally, and slam. And as a form in our discard pile, so if this card is in our discard pile, at any time we could play like an attack from our hand, we get to play this form ability. We spend 1 momentum. We may attempt to play this attack from our discard pile as our next form, reducing its difficulty by 3. So if it's in our discard pile, we can spend a momentum to play this attack from our discard pile as a 5 difficulty attack instead of an 8 difficulty attack. So this is definitely one you want to pitch with Faust's ability to play a different attack from your discard pile. And then you can play this one as a 5 diff instead of an 8 diff and be like, here's a 4 high 9 with stun 1. And it's just really going to slam you down. So I thought this was really cool. Kind of a way to, again, we're spending a resource, our momentum, our power that we've gathered in order to make sure that we can chuck this absolutely massive attack at our rival. Now, I could see maybe having this as a spend 2 momentum instead of 1 because it was kind of a final ditch attack from Faust. But I kind of just switched this over from the original card I based this off of, and it was like 11:30 at night, so I didn't think of rewording anything. But if I did, it'd probably be a spend 2 momentum cost to play this from your discard pile. Next, we have, skipping forward in time a little bit, we've got Oversoul Mephisto E. So this is Eliza's final form. In the last half of the tournament, the guys figure out a new skill called Oversoul, where they create either giant versions of their Guardian Ghosts or giant weapons, something like a really powerful combo. So this would probably be Faust's ultra rare, and I'd probably say that 14-ton Calcium Giant could be a rare attack. So this would definitely be his ultra. And this one I actually did kind of manipulate a little bit because I had made this a little way too broken. But it's a 6 difficulty, 3 control, 1 high block, 4 mid 4. It's got Breaker 2, Ally, and Charge. As an enhance, we can gain 5 health. We just inject ourselves with a whole bunch of health because we're probably taking some hits if we're discarding our attacks, all of our cards in order to play attacks. I will also say, for those uninitiated, Breaker 2 is a response that says if we block with this card, our rival's next check gets -2. So pretty useful for trying to end strings. And then we have an enhance, remove X ally attacks from your discard pile. Your rival loses X health, maximum 5. And I think it's cut off here. It looks like it might be cut off, but I do have a prerequisite that says this cannot reduce your rival below 1 health. So you cannot kill with this burn, but you can absolutely burn them down 5 health, and then you've just got this 4 mid 4 that's going to hit. So in essence, if you have the 5 cards to remove, it's a 4 mid 9, but 5 of that damage is unblockable. So pretty cool here. Again, I am skipping, I'm not sticking to like one season. I'm kind of just going over what these characters do overall. And this was just a really cool version of Eliza, and I think that it's just massive. And the ability to just swing up to 10 points of health in a game, you know, you gain 5, your rival loses 5, to just have that desperation of health makes this a really powerful card indeed. So I've been showing pictures for like screen grabs or from articles for the attacks, because I kind of want to, oh, I actually have one more attack, because I want to show kind of what the cards, what the attacks do or look like. I will not be doing this for foundations, because who knows what screen grabs could be taken for the foundation cards, but our last attack is going to be Eliza's Overhead Slash. So this is a common attack, possibly, because it's very, you know, it's French vanilla, as they would say. It's a 5/3, 3 mid block, 3 high for 5. It's got EX2, ally, and weapon. And EX2 says we can spend any number of our momentum. For each momentum spent, we get +2 speed. And this would just be your general draft chaff, just basic French vanilla card. It's got EX2, gives you a bit of a momentum out, but otherwise it's kind of just here to fill a slot and just to be a simple draft card. So not much to say about that. So now we're going to move on to our foundation cards. And our first one is going to be Tragic Love Story. So this will be obviously going over Faust and Eliza, how they fell in love, and how she ended up being murdered, and kind of sent Faust a little crazy. So it's a 2 difficulty, 5 control, 3 low block, ally, and unique. Unique meaning you can only have 1 copy of it in your stage at a time. As a response, you can remove Tragic Love Story. During the damage step of an attack that is targeting one of your backups, reduce its damage to the stamina of that backup -1. So as Eliza has... I did not put her stamina on here. She does have 5 stamina. So I did put that in the initial card form, but she does have 5 stamina. I don't know why I didn't put that on here. Okay, so she does have 5 health, basically. And this would reduce the damage to basically leave her at 1 if an attack is targeting her. So you get to keep her alive a little bit longer. And then we have Enhance. Twice per turn, after you gain health, your rival loses 1 health. So after we gain health, our rival loses a health. If you've seen, aside from our Bone Dead Reborn, we don't have a lot of damage boost in this deck, or at least these characters, this kit. So I thought a little bit of burn damage could also help, because he does have some abilities that siphon life force and siphon power, and it kind of works with the Mad Doctor kind of design that he has. And of course, I don't want that twice per turn to get out of hand, so I did give this card unique. So this would probably be a rare foundation if I had to guess. Next we have the Power of Necromancy. This is a 3/5 with a 2 high block. Enhance, your ally attack gets +1 speed. If it was played from anywhere other than your hand, it gets +1 damage. So this also works for echoes, if you have any ally echoes, but also if you're playing cards from your discard pile as Faust, you can give your attacks 1 speed and 1 damage. And then as a deadlock form, so a form ability we get to play if our rival has at least 11 foundations, because they don't print enough deadlock these days, we can commit the Power of Necromancy. Our next check to play an ally attack gets +3. So if we're really trying to end a string on a high note, maybe with our Oversoul Mephisto E, we can make sure that we pass that check if our rival has gone into deadlock to try to deal with all of our crazy bone magic. And then lastly, we have Bone Shell. So this is an ability that Faust used to kind of like cover himself in skeletons to tank hits. So it's a 1 difficulty, 5 control, 2 mid block, and it's got deflect 2. So we can, as a response, play it after the block step of an attack, add it to our card pool, and reduce the damage of the attack that we're taking by 2. So we do take a little bit less damage, and this could also be some good draft chaff, like a common foundation. I figure that's probably where they want commons to be, something simple, something French vanilla, as they would call it. But just a way to help us live a little bit longer. It's got a decent block. And yeah, and it shows off one of Faust's only, I think, defensive capabilities in just taking less damage. But that is going to be it. That is my very first What If, showing off what I think of the Shaman King franchise in Universus. So, yeah, what do you guys think? Is this a type of a video you'd like to see more of? I'm already working on more what ifs, so spoiler alert, some more are coming. But I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts. You know, I already made some videos about like what video games and anime I'd like to see in Universus, so I might pull from some of those. But when it comes to like showing pictures, it's kind of depend on what kind of screen grabs I can get. So some of these might not have the pictures for them, but we'll see what I can do. But let me know in the comments below what you think of Faust, what you think of Shaman King, and I mean, do you think about who plays this game and doesn't think about what if this character was in the game? What if this franchise were here? How would this work in Universus? So yeah, thank you for sitting through my very first episode of What If, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.